was a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. I'm speaking with Mary Eosco, who has this super profound message to share about waste and not even food waste. I was so I was so blown away by the products that she's selling, and then I looked at her website and I was struck by how profound her message is. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this intro. Mary is amazing, and you're going to learn a lot about her in this interview. So I'm just going to get right to that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grounded in Maine. My name is Amy. Today I'm talking to Mary Eosco, and she has a very cool business called Think About It. So how are you today, Mary?
I'm good. It's a beautiful Sunday.
Yes, it's true. And in October.
Perfect.
So you have this really cool business where you create useful items utilizing materials that are headed for the landfill, but there's more to it. I know you were telling me that. So I'm curious how you came to start your business.
Well, it all goes back to COVID, like all good stories at this point. That weird time in our lives. I sort of got locked down with my mom, who had quickly was slipping into dementia, and spent a lot of time in my childhood home, where she still is after more than 50 years, and pulled out her old sewing machine that she taught me to sew on, and finally started doing something I'd meant to do for years. And that was to figure out how to make a bag out of dog food bags. I had been saving dog food bags for ages because they're so durable and it just seems so crazy to throw them away. So I found a YouTube video and I watched every single second of it and was very careful and rewind, make sure I was doing it just right, and made a tote bag and was so pleased with it. I just kept going with all of that. And while sewing, with my earbuds in, listening to books and podcasts and music, my brain was going, and started thinking about a wallet that I had gotten in Mexico years before that was made out of inner tube. I grew up next to the Cahills, who have Cahill Tire in Bath. And I immediately went over there and started pulling stuff out of their dumpster with permission. And I don't have to do that anymore. They save it for me. So, and then it just kept expanding as I just kept finding different pieces of trash that I could sew, and expanded into the Maritime Museum, who gives me banners, and they give me their old flags from the Wyoming sculpture. And it's
That's
just
really cool.
I don't discriminate on considering what kind of trash can be turned into something else.
Mm. That's amazing. And I've been looking for folks because we have chickens and I buy sunflower seeds in bulk, and like I'm not that crafty. I'm scared of my sewing machine. So I always like do a Facebook post like, can anyone use feed bags for anything? So that's really interesting. Very cool. And so you were using tires and you were using banners and stuff like that. And so now you're using literally like things bound for the trash.
That is my mission, is to have items that would have gone to the landfill. And I do have an industrial sewing machine now, and I joke that I can sew rocks with this thing. So I am not very limited on what I can sew. Mm-hmm. But I don't just make things with needle and thread. I can, I'll try anything, and I can't even think about some of the things that I've made, but there's so much, you can get so much inspiration. It's interesting to balance it with ideas from the internet and just looking around at other, walking through a store and I'll be inspired. Like, oh, okay, that could be fun if I used this material
Hmm.
that is commonly thrown away.
Yeah. So do you use a lot of Pinterest for ideas?
I go through phases.
Yeah.
It can be inspiring to see what other people have done and then to just tweak it into something else using what I have available,
Right.
or to go find trash that I hadn't thought of using before.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Right. Awesome. And I mean, really, what you're creating is so beautiful, and not even just because it's landfill bound, but it's just it. I just love the. I'm looking at your website. The whale purse, is it a purse or a tote bag? It's
Well,
so
first,
pretty. Like I would totally buy that. And I mean, people feel free to go to her website and check it out. Um, because they're so beautiful. And so okay, so that was your start. And I love so much that your website is also educational. So you have a mission more than just making stuff out of trash. So please just, you feel free to go into depth about that.
well, that is truly my passion, is what my real mission is. And as the name says, I'm trying to get people to think about their trash, where it goes, and how long it will be there. And to just give some background, I was on the Bath City Council for 14 years and understand landfills. I've seen ours grow. I was born in Bath. I was raised here, swore I'd never come back, but I came back with gusto. Um,
Gusto.
and and I love this city, but it is so disheartening to go to the landfill and see what people are throwing away, and to think how long those things will be in that mountain. And if you're not interested in the environmental aspect of it, which we all should be thinking about, that plastic never really goes away. It just breaks down into smaller pieces. We're feeding ourselves plastic. If you want to talk about the economics of a landfill, and I'm using Bath as our microcosm, because take your city or town, shrink it, grow it, whatever, your trash is going somewhere. But if we're talking about Bath, our landfill takes $650,000 a year to run. Now, this used to be a cash cow. We used to make money on it. And as it should, we had all regulations came down. You can't just throw anything into a landfill. Now, it used to be a dump. Now it's a landfill. We have to treat all the leachate, and we have to burn off the gases, and it's very complicated. Um, and the numbers right now for what it will cost to close that landfill is $3.5 million. The city we do have money earmarked for that, which I think was a smart decision that we made as a council years ago. Um, and that number is likely to rise. And our landfill, we're projecting right now. I just met with the public works director, who updated me on numbers because they change. We think we're in our final cell. It could be up to 20 years we have left in that cell, but it's like a faucet that you turn on and off. So we could speed that up if we allowed more trash in from outside, or we could slow that down by limiting what trash we allow to come in. But that affects how much it costs us monetarily as well. So there is that faucet piece. And what it costs for Bath right now to do trash pickup, which is, we contract out, it costs about $400,000 a year. And that includes the recycling and everything as well.
Now, is that
But
aside from you said it's 650,000 to run so that's like on top of?
I believe so. I believe so. Um, And that trash pickup will likely double once we don't have a place to put our trash.
Right.
And then that landfill, we have to maintain once it is capped, once we've spent that $3.5 million or whatever it is at that time. We have to monitor it for 30 years. Really, you're just trying to get trees to not grow out of it. So there's an extension of how long you need to do something with it before you can do anything with it. I know that other communities and other places have used them for sledding hills or something like that, but there is a lead time that you just have to wait. And so landfills are crazy. I mean, you think about it, our landfill drops 2 to 3 feet a year because everything's just settling down. We're just compacting that trash. And that trash is really not that exciting. We think about what we used to throw away 100 years ago compared to what we throw away now. It is shocking to see, now we find something that had been buried 100 years ago. And we think it's exciting. I don't think in 100 years anyone's going to care what we're throwing away because it's all plastic. It's all disposable stuff.
Single use, right?
Yeah. So that's a lot of information about trash, but it's really what gets me excited is creating these usable items in an effort to get people to think about trash, to have that conversation.
Wow. It is really, it's kind of mind blowing. I mean, you don't think about that part. It just kind of happens, right? I mean,
someone picks up that bag and, that's gone, out of sight, out of mind.
Right. And, to think about all the, these days, so many, people buy salad in a plastic bag and their lettuces and stuff like that. And that's, it's so easy and it's protected and it says it's washed. And so you can just put it right in your bowl or whatever, but then that it doesn't break down. I mean, or you said it just gets into smaller pieces, which then we end up eating back. But I mean, our landfill just closed 2 years ago, I think, in Brunswick. And so now we have to ship our trash to West Bath, I think.
Which is just a transfer station.
Transfer station, right. And then it goes to Portland. But I mean, and I know that Brunswick right now is talking about, they're really pushing composting, which is very cool. It just still doesn't take care of the plastic issue. So thank goodness.
It does help a lot. I mean, it's estimated that 35 to 40% of what is thrown away could be composted.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And and just for people to think about what they're throwing away and what could be composted. And this is different than just your trash, your backyard compost. You can't do some of the things there that you could if you used something like garbage to garden. Mm-hmm. But I ran Heritage Days on and off for many years, and we used garbage to garden. And they were wonderful to work with. You pay more money, sure, but in the end, we were diverting about 90% of what was going to the landfill because they had people who would actually go and eat. They had separate bins and signage. They'd have people go around and sort what could be recycled, what could be composted, and what actually was trash. Oh. And when you pull those pieces apart, it really does make an impact. 90% of what was being thrown away at Heritage Days.
Yeah.
And that's a big festival in Bath for people who don't know.
Right. And that's the 4th of July weekend, right?
Yeah. And, we've got carnival and food vendors and all kinds of things.
So is that in order to make that work, do you need to have, this is something that I've been thinking about. Do all the vendors need to abide by specific guidelines? Like you need to use this type of plastic in order to be recycled, or it's just whatever?
That was a recommendation that I had left the last time I ran Heritage Days. I am completely out of all of that. I don't think they even used garbage to garden this year, which I'm very sad about. Um, I we have nonprofits who run events during Heritage Days, and I recommended that there's no styrofoam, there's no any of that, because we have essentially banned a lot of this in Bath before the state did anything. So polystyrene
Right.
is really what we're supposed to say there. Uh, but it's a good recommendation, and I would like to think the carnivals and the all of those guys would consider that. They were just shocked to see people picking trash. These college students who are going around with tongs, they just couldn't understand it. But you know that even them observing that could help change their mindsets in the future. I can hope that that was a seed planted.
Right, totally. I mean, if you're at some fair and you see someone picking through the trash or the landfill and moving, that would get my attention. I mean,
Yep.
I know that, there are people that pick like returnable bottles and cans out of the trash or the recycling to, because it has its own specific place, but whew, wow, that's so much information.
It
That's
is a lot of
really
information.
interesting. That's really interesting. And then, so, I mean, the point that you made, and I know I'm going to be doing an episode on composting, but this is really interesting to me. But so, garbage to garden, composting is more, it's more complex than what a home compost would do. And is it just, do they heat it up?
Compost is naturally hot, but my understanding is that they have such mass that they are able to get it to a heat that you would never get in your little
Right.
plastic bin in your backyard. So they're able to compost things that you wouldn't realize that could be composted. Um, and you can put paper products in your garbage to garden bucket. There are things that we wouldn't put in our own compost
Right.
that they are able to do. And there's so much more we can be doing with composting.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I do want to just uh, accent. So you have a quote on your website that just really touched me. And so the quote is, it just says, think about this. Every piece of plastic ever produced still exists. And that just like that blew me away because I know that, but to read that just really touched me. Um, and so that is your mission. Like you want people to really think about what is needed, what is actually waste.
Right, and how long it'll be there, and I'd love to get back to talking about my bags, but this is just so mind-blowing, and I think that we can be making efforts as one person is one person, but if we all start shifting our thinking, we can change things. I've been in touch with the Natural Resource Council of Maine and some other groups like that, just to understand where legislation's going, what we're talking about on a national level versus a state level versus a municipality. Uh, and it's just fun to talk about people who have the same passion. The oil and gas companies have found more ways to make plastic, more reasons to make plastic in the last 10 and 15 years than all the years combined. We've produced more plastic because people are becoming more efficient with efficient homes and cars and all those kinds of things. They're trying to find ways to
Make
reasons to use their product. So, it all comes down to greed. Um, but we can do better than this. I just, I,
Right.
we just need to be having the conversation and talking about it. And when I'm making these things, we probably wouldn't be talking if I wasn't making fun stuff out of
Right.
trash.
Totally. I mean, that got my attention. And then just, looking at your website, I was like, this is, I definitely need to talk to her. But so you on your website, you also have a section that says, what can I do or what can you do? So that's, actionable steps that people can take. And I so appreciate that on your website that, it's not just buy my cool stuff, it's, educating people, which is so important. I mean, just knowing what we can do, knowing the steps that we can take, and just being mindful about what we're throwing away, what we're recycling, what we're buying.
And I probably need to update that a little bit, but that's what we're purchasing, how we're purchasing it. My background is also, I used to be I was one of the first Main Street directors in the state. So the Main Street program is about revitalizing downtowns. So shopping locally is really important. Shipping is really a big problem as well. And so I get torn about being willing to ship anything for a number of reasons. One is I just can't even deal with it at this point in my life. I've got other things happening. Um, but shopping locally is really, really important. And choosing the products that don't buy things that are disposable. The cheapest toaster is cheap for a reason because it's not going to last. It's going to go into a landfill. So if you're able to buy something of more quality, you're going to get more time out of it. And I really would love to get people thinking about fixing things. What happened to that? We used to have a little shop where you could bring your broken TV downtown, or they could fix small appliances. And now everything's disposable. Our
Right.
TVs, everything is disposable. And it's, it's gonna sling back at us. And,
Right.
my kids grew up watching Wally. I don't know if
Right.
it's gonna get that bad, but it might.
I know. And well, right. And it all happened, it started, how many years ago with like planned obsolescence, just everything it's already obsolete once you buy it. Like they're already working on the newer version, and that's, it's a hard mindset for people to grasp. Um, with iPhone and et cetera, there's just always a better one, and you want to upgrade and have the most everything. But that just it also just puts more product into the landfills. And I know that the Brunswick Library has. It seems like it's almost a pop-up thing because I hear about it way too late. But they have like a Fix It Cafe where there are like little, there are people that will work on stuff or teach you how to do stuff. I think I just saw that there's like a car workshop there, so people can learn about fixing their own car, which is it's amazing. It's amazing. Like these are things that we really need to learn about right now to
I
keep things
agree.
going.
I agree. And it's a shame that we've cut out the home ec in schools and the
That's
shop
what.
because people kids aren't learning some of these basic skills to know how to repair things or how things are built. um, if you buy an old piece of furniture, that's going to be a higher quality than anything you're going to get
Right.
brand new. And the workmanship, the quality of the wood, everything.
Right.
And it's, buying secondhand, I've just always been more attracted to that in my life because things are a little bit more quirky. Um, I, it's, if you want to be unique, don't look like everyone else. In the fashion industry in particular,
Right.
we they just that obsolete piece that you were talking about, they're already planning for what's coming out today. They're already 3 months ahead because they want you to keep buying, 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 and they're not producing quality pieces.
Right. Because they're not meant to stick around. It's going to be changing. And so the clothing waste. I mean, I guess thank goodness for Goodwill for people, people that will buy secondhand. And um, I just buy. I buy when I wear them. I have my favorite flannel shirts that I wear all year round. Um, but yeah, I totally get that, and it just makes it that much more necessary. The obsolete stuff, and people not needing to that not feeling that need to fix or repair or just hold on to. It's tricky.
It's tricky.
But I think that your website is genius.
Well, thank you.
And I appreciate it so much. But so to your bags and other products, do you have a favorite product that you make? And is it easy, or do you love it because it took so much effort?
I have to say, I do have relationships with some of the things that I make, and sometimes it's hard to let things go. But I would say that the pieces that I enjoy are the things that I have loved the most. It's where the materials came from and the story behind the materials that I'm attached to. And one of the things that I do for each piece that I make, which generally everything is one of a kind. Sometimes the dog tug toys might look the same, but if I'm getting a banner from the Maritime Museum, that's the only banner like that one. And I'll cut out certain sections of it, and everything has the tag of where that trash came from. Um,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah, and I think that some people, I'm one of those people, really like the story or the connection behind the piece, not just the appearance of it, so that it they can feel like they understand where that was all coming from. Something at the Maritime Museum, somebody has a connection with anything maritime related or Bath or
Right.
whatever it is,
Sure.
people will have a certain draw to. So I do work with nonprofits quite a bit with their old banners and old materials, and they'll auction things off. But it's just a win-win-win-win-win because they're getting rid of trash they that would go to a landfill. I'm getting materials at a great cost for free. I'm able to continue their advertising if it says Maine Maritime Museum on it. So what they had created for advertising will continue in a second life and be carried around in a different way.
Oh, great.
It's just all over the place. It just feels really good. It's really fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Do you offer classes to make products yet? Or do you have like a team that you work with?
I do not. I was just speaking at Morse High School the other day, and was asked if I take on interns. I am totally open to anything. I've I have taught a couple people how to do some things. I don't really, for as much as I've had to be on television for certain things, I don't really like being on it. But I would love to do some sort of YouTube channel or have somebody do it that could kind of talk about it. Um, I will say that one of my visions is to not franchise out, but more create a collaborative and have other people from other parts of the state, parts of the country, other parts of the world will go big under the same label with the same mission, creating things out of their communities.
That's beautiful.
Trying to spread the word. So that's one of my big visions. I have other ones, but I think that would be fun to do. I've offered a number of the offers are out there to teach people how to do things.
That's awesome. I mean, I know I personally, I mean, like I think I told you, I'm a scared. I'm afraid of my sewing machine. But I mean, I do have the feed bags, so it would be cool to have someone show me how to reuse them. That would be awesome. Um, I love that. I love that idea to like just reach out to other people and have other people be inspired to do the same thing worldwide. Why not? Why not?
Why not? Why not?
You
And
know?
I would. There's nothing wrong with crafting, but I'd like to think of this as more of an art because things are so individualized, and
Yeah.
it's people who are drawn to it who, and it doesn't have to just be sewing, but and anybody, I'd have to figure this stuff out. I'm going very slowly.
Sure.
I'm very intentionally moving slowly because of where things that I've going on in my life, and just sort of planting my own roots and understanding where I am before getting too big on anything. So it's been interesting to go as slowly as I am. And I really am not I don't like being on social media anymore. I have a lot more time for life or for creating things actually. Uh, Once I stopped looking at social media, like, wow, that's really when I started sewing again. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's such an amazing, amazing tool, but it is sort of a time suck. Um, so I get torn on some of these, the shipping, the social media, things that I just have
Right.
an aversion to at this point in my life. I might have to loop back in at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be really cool to be connected with other people of the same mind and, brainstorm. Like what would you make if you had such and such waste and would it all be bags or would it be who knows? What else would could be made? That's very cool. I love the idea. I'm excited for that.
Me
Uh,
too.
so, so Mary, when I say the word sustainability, I know it's a big broad word, but what does that mean to you?
uh it's a big word. Sustainability is not going beyond what is unsustainable. That doesn't make sense. But we need to be able to hold on to what we have and not go beyond our means. And I feel like we are beyond our means in terms of what we are producing. Um, I feel strongly in MacGyverism, make do with what you've got. And I feel very secure that if we didn't produce a new item, material item, food aside, that we would be okay for a long time in this country.
Mm,
For if we were to just use materials that we currently have, we had to fix things, we had to reuse, we didn't buy anything. And I know, I understand economy, like that's not great for the economy, but we could do it. Like we have plenty of materials on this planet right now to
right,
work with. And we need to sustain this planet, which we're not doing.
right.
Um, we're just overproducing for what this little blue ball in the sky can hold.
I love that. It's really profound. It really is. Phew. So how can people find you to learn more about what you're doing, to buy your awesome products? I know
Well,
you can't do your social really, but I know you have an Instagram account.
I do. I do. Um, I am, my website is thinkaboutit.global. So we went big there. .com wasn't available. So it's thinkaboutit.global. And my Instagram is trash underscore think about it. And I started a Facebook page years ago that's called Living in Bath. I liked the idea of someone having to go like living in Bath. Um,
Ah,
so
however,
it's called Living in Bath, and I've thought about shifting that over to think about it because I'm not really posting anything. I really do want to be honest about what I'm posting. That was all about Bath. So occasionally I'll post on that. But I might shift that over because really Bath is my microcosm and the impetus for everything that I'm doing. So living in Bath is a good resource as well.
Okay, super. And I will put all that information in the show notes. But thank you so much for your time today, Mary. I learned so much, and I'm blown away. I know you were saying before, it just seems like such a little thing when there's so much that we can do, but I love your mindset, and I love that you're thinking big. There's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do, and I haven't even talked about some of the bigger ideas that I really hope that we can do social pressure campaigns on people who are producing, and so
Right.
there's more to come. I'm purposely staying kind of small right now to maintain my mindset and my lifestyle for where I am, but stay tuned.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You haven't heard the last of me.
You're gonna inspire people, I'm pretty sure, and you're gonna have people looking for you.
It's fun.
And then you can spread your word.
And that's it. And all I ask is for people to think about it.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
I want to take just a moment and thank my guest today. And I need to also thank Jane Bolduck for her music genius. I want to thank Becca Coffron for her beautiful podcast artwork, and Buzzsprout for hosting this podcast. And thank you so much for listening.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, how do I get there from here? 'Cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. We'll find a way to soothe the sickness. We'll heal the hate with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder, how did I